Okay, now let's talk about some non-scraps related bubble diagrams. Let's look at just some example bubble diagrams and how they are useful and beneficial to take this step. So on the left-hand side, you see an example of a bubble diagram for a house planning out the lawn and garden in their yard. So in the front, you see you got the lawn and the planting bed, and then in the backyard, you see you have a lawn, a little patio, the other planting bed, you have a garden, etc., etc. Then that bubble diagram is just blobs of shapes, right? Mostly just circles and shapes representing where those spaces will go, not worrying about how they're connected. Then off to the side, we have study A and study B. It looks like two different variations, where study A is using a lot of hard angles, and study B has a lot more organic curves and shapes, and really adjusting the design of the patio, right? As well as you'll see the compost area is starting to change. So you'll see the patio here is one specific shape, and now the patio over here is another specific shape. Notice how the compost area has moved from the bubble diagram. So the bubble diagram allows us to plan out exactly where we want general areas to be, and then detail them out even further once we're happy with that bubble diagram. Moving on to the Tulsa Zoo, this is a real world example, definitely something that's a great example of a bubble diagram, so let's go ahead and bring it up. There is the bubble diagram for the Tulsa Zoo, right? You can see at first it just starts out with basic bubbles, basic blobs that represent where these general spaces will be, right? We got Africa over here, the entertainment plaza in the middle, here's Asia, sandwiched in between. You have the offices area up front, right? So everything is just a general blob at first. That's the main concern. Then from there, you can refine that blob even further, right? Define each one of those bubbles with the details, what's actually inside of there, what that's going to look like. Now just starting to define the specific exhibits. And then going even further, this almost looks like something you might see when you go to the zoo and see it in a brochure. Right, here's the red is the walking area. You have the yellow for the different exhibits. Right, the green is all the grass area. You even got the details of the uh, parking lot up front. So the beginning bubble diagram allows you to plan and then add these details in layers. So you're not starting trying to build this from the ground up. You refine it over time. So here's a shot of all three of the progression, right? So this is basically your attempt at your bubble diagram. You're going to be working on your bubble diagram and then converting it to the map over time. So here's a great real world example of how bubble diagrams are used in architecture.